All right. Hello, 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 everybody. Thank you for tuning in again for another week of the Metal Blade live series. I am joined today by label mates and friends, Vince and Hugo from Fractal Universe. How you doing, guys?
Hey, Roddy. Great.
Pretty good, yeah.
Hell
Thanks
yeah.
for having us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. So, for those of you who don't know, Fractal Universe is a shredding technical death metal band from France. Um, France has always had a really cool music scene, especially in metal. Like some of my favorite metal bands are from France. Like I'm a huge Alcest fan. Obviously, you guys, bands like Gojira who have taken over the world since then. What has it been like over there during the uh, during the pandemic and with shows and all this kind of stuff. It's easy enough for a lot of our viewers to kind of tell what the climate has been like here in the States, but how has it been over there for you guys?
Well, I guess pretty much the same. Things are slowly starting to reopen at the moment and stuff, but yeah, basically, there weren't any shows in the first month of the pandemic. Then some stuff happened in the summer of 2020, but it closed down again in the fall. So it's been back and forth. And now for this summer, things are starting to reopen again. And we can just hope that it will continue that way. But it was a pretty rough year, I think, for everybody in France as elsewhere, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But that didn't stop some of the bigger festivals like Hellfest, which takes place in Lyon, right? Is where Hellfest is? Or it's like
Clisson.
oh, it's in Clisson. That's where it is. That's where it
Yeah.
is. Um, I feel like when we played there, we like flew into Lyon and then drove like 300 miles to get to Clisson. Um, but Hellfest continued to do stuff. Did you guys manage to catch anything from that from the Hellfest at home broadcast that they did?
Uh, yeah, I think what they did was really great. The whole like video game thing where you can just walk around the Hellfest
Yeah.
location and see the shows on video, but at the right time, as we were in a real festival,
Yeah.
or almost.
Yeah, I've only seen like a few performances, like videos, but they really put in a huge budget, I think, on these videos. They look amazing. You have like drone shots. They shot some stuff in the supermarket and crazy stuff like that. So that was really entertaining to watch, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they did a really great job. It was super cool to see it. That format, right? Because it's like a lot of people were doing the stream from home. Our friends over at Metal Injection did the big Slay at Home thing that was a lot of fun for all the people involved. And but the format I think was the coolest part of that Hellfest thing, where it was like you said, it was like a digital, almost like a VR type of experience. um,
Yeah,
so I mentioned I mentioned Gojira a little earlier, being like, debatably the biggest metal band to ever come out of France. Do
yeah.
you think that has had an impact on other French metal bands? You know what I mean? Like, do you think that they've kind of set a precedence, or has the success of Gojira done anything for putting other French bands kind of on people's radar?
Yeah, definitely to me. I think they have opened the way for many bands in the sense that they gave really a credibility to French bands. Now, French people, I mean, people from all over the world know what to expect from a French metal band because, yeah, like Gojira opened the way, and I think it's great. And also, besides that, I think they have influenced in one way or another nearly all metal bands in France because, yeah, they are so huge and have been part of our lives since a long time now, and they have had a huge impact on many, many metal musicians here, I think.
Nice. Yeah, they I remember, you know, it's sometimes the passage of time can trip me out a little bit, because I remember hearing Gojira for the first time in like 2008, 2009, like right around that time when they dropped The Way of All Flesh. And it's crazy to think though that was like what, their third or fourth album, and
Yeah,
then
fourth.
yeah, that was their fourth album, and it came out what, like over 10 years ago now, and they've released like four or five more albums since then. You know, it's crazy for me to like to realize how much that band has done and how far they've come since their inception in like the late 90s, early 2000s. Um, it's a pretty amazing phenomenon to observe. You know, a lot of bands sometimes they'll start their career with a lot of hype and a lot of momentum and like just end up right at the top and then just kind of stay there for the rest of their career. But Gojira has a really interesting like career path that you can follow, like watching them grow as they've continued to make releases.
Yeah.
So I think that it's cool because it sets a precedent in that way as well. Not only like, you know, this is what to expect from French metal bands, and you know they did all these things for the local metal community of France, but they've also kind of shown that like if you are smart about the way you run your band and if you know do things right, like you can start small and end up being gigantic. So it's super cool to see that. So it must be a point of pride for French metal musicians to have that one in the
Yeah, and it's really
background.
inspirational.
Yeah.
It's really inspirational because, as you said, you can watch them grow. With each album, they have made more steps towards being where they are now, and that's really more inspirational, I think, than the bands that get a hype with their first record.
Right.
You can really feel all the sweat and all the energy that went into the project, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of releasing music, you guys just released an album on June 25th called Impassable Horizon. Uh, you know I started the interview mentioning that you guys were like a technical death metal band, and you still are very, you know, fast and savvy and all that stuff. But this album is a little bit more accessible. It like has a little bit. You've kind of leaned off of the tech side of things a little bit, which I personally love. Can you tell us how your sound has changed a little bit from when you guys started as a band and where you kind of see yourself going in the future?
Well, yeah, it's true. There's much more like clean vocals, much more like progressive parts with like much quieter parts, a lot more dynamics. And I think that's the way our music has naturally evolved. We didn't force that into a direction or another. It's just music we wanted to write at that time, and I think it will continue that way. Still have like the extreme metal elements, but merged with more other stuff as well. Like we added some saxophone also. I think that opens up the sound a lot, and that's really something we will try to do more even on the next records, I think.
Right. Um, you mentioned the saxophone. So is that you playing it on the actual album, or did you hire an outside studio musician to do the sax stuff? Because I know that you've been learning sax, Vince, for you know a little while, and now it's part of the band's sound. Was that you know how did that happen?
Yeah, well, it was me playing, and actually it was my first time ever playing on the record on the
Nice.
saxophone. So I was pretty excited about that. And actually, I've been only playing the instrument for like a year and a half, so I still have a lot to learn on there. But I'm also having like a lot of fun on the instrument. So
Yeah.
it was pretty exciting to do that in the context of a record to be released on Metal Blade, you know. So
That's super cool. Are you
premiere.
are you gonna try to incorporate sax into the live performance? Are you gonna have it like how they have the like classical guitar like on the stand, so you can like leave your guitar for a second, like come up here. You're gonna like have your sax kind of off to the side, so you can kind of just like real quick do your
Yeah.
sax
Yeah.
parts.
Yeah,
Definitely, you're right. Yeah.
we
Hell
did
yeah.
our first show with the new record, and yeah, I switched instruments. I had a stand where I put my saxophone and my guitar. I have to put them off when I take the other instrument because it's just more convenient, but it went
Yeah.
pretty smoothly.
Nice. Dude, that's so cool. That's I love seeing multi-instrumentalist uh stuff like that where it's like every not even if it's not every member of the band, but at least one member of the band, right? Where it's like, okay, I'm going to switch over to keyboards, or I'm going to switch over to sax, or I'm going to switch over to whatever it might be. I think that's super cool. So, getting back to your new record though, you know, you mentioned that you know you're hoping to add more of this kind of like melodic progressive stuff into your music as time goes on. You know, it feels like a natural process. It's not like you're forcing it. With all that in mind, how was the recording process for this record, since you were kind of doing stuff that was newer to the band? You know, obviously you have to take into consideration like, oh, this is the first time we've ever tracked a sax before. You know, how are we gonna manage to do all this kind of stuff and you know have the engineer work around it? What was that process like for you guys?
Well, for the first time, we tracked the drums in our own recording studio.
Nice.
Clément has its own like really professional environment called Boundless Production Studios, and for the first time, we tracked drums there, which was extremely comfortable because we could take like 2 full days for sound checking or checking out like different cymbal sets and stuff. So it was really comfortable. And for the rest of the instruments, we tracked at home. Basically, I have a little booth where I recorded vocals and saxophone, and for the guitars and stuff, it was just like DI and then reamped into campers or amp sims and stuff like that.
Right.
So that left a lot of time for experimentation, I think, because we didn't have to pay the rent of the studio and had not the pressure of getting things done in a short amount of time. And I think that's really helpful for music like ours.
Yeah, it is extremely convenient to work at home whenever we want to, actually. If you want to track something late in the evening, we can. We took the time we needed. We could take the time we needed to record all of this, and I think it went really easier for us because no pressure at all. And it took really long time actually to track all of these. And I don't think we could have done it in a real studio rented for, I don't know, 3 weeks or something. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I have a question from a viewer, Gainsbar from Tokyo wants to know, how do you guys compose your songs? Obviously, you have like you were just talking about, you have all this time to experiment. How much stuff changes in the studio versus like, when you're just writing and presenting ideas to each other. I know every band has kind of a different chemistry when it comes to that, and I'm actually really interested to hear how you guys go about recording or go about composing your songs as well.
Well, there's not so much that changes in the actual recording, and that's because basically I am the main composer, and I work like at home. I record pre-productions. I write stuff down on Guitar Pro for all the guys to have like tabs and stuff, and I try to make the pre-productions as close as possible to the final result, like adding all the layers already. And then obviously some little details might change because when I send the pre-productions over to the other guys, we discuss everything. There's like maybe a song structure that gets changed a little bit or some little details added here and there. But essentially, as I said, I try to make the pre-productions as precise as possible so that we know exactly what we can expect in the studio. And what might change in the studio is, or in the last weeks or so before that, is like some solos being added or some little details being changed in vocal lines and stuff. But the essential core of the music remains the same, so that we really know what to expect from the performance.
Nice.
But in that case, some saxophone parts were added pretty late in the process, for example, because that was kind of a new tool that I had. So I added a part pretty late. And we like switched some guitar, saxophone solos on some songs, and that was maybe the last experimentations we did with that before actually going into the tracking, or even during the tracking.
Right. That's really interesting to hear, because I know, at least like in my experience with Allegiant and with other bands I've worked with, like when we go into the studio, the album is like 90% done, right? And like a lot of, like we have the full composition, but like so much is subject to change because of the producers that we work with being like, hey, I like what you guys did, but like let's maybe change it up in this way or that way or another way. I had Mark Lewis on a couple weeks ago. Unfortunately, the stream quality was not great, so we'll have to get him on again. But one of the things that he mentioned was like taking that that process and being like, I'm here to serve the music and update stuff as I receive it. Sometimes we'll track things in like a reverse order and like do things a little bit less conventionally so that we can approach the music from like a different, more creative way. I think it's really interesting to hear how well organized your process is compared to a lot of other bands that I've talked to. It's super cool. And it makes sense with the quality of your music for sure. So what has the response to this record been like? Obviously, you guys put a lot into it. Are you getting a lot back from it thus far? I know it just came out, so it's kind of hard to tell. But what has the reception been like for you?
Pretty good, I think. A lot of people were like, even our older fans were really surprised by all the changes we made, but I think in a positive way. I didn't see any like really negative comments about like having more clean vocals or having more of the saxophone, at least not from our fans. But I think yeah, even the reviews and stuff are really great, and it's really I really appreciate that because yeah, as you said, we put a lot of work into it, and it's great to finally have it out for people to hear it, even if we cannot really play shows at the moment.
Yeah.
It's even greater to read their comments and to interact with them on the streams we did and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we gained a lot of new fans, and we kept all the older one, which is a which is a win-win situation, I think, for everybody.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah. I'm glad that the days where if you were like a strictly, brutal death metal band or tech band or whatever it might be, like I think there was a time when if you were that kind of band and you tried to do like anything different, the lashback was terrible. You know what I mean? Like the fans would be so mad, and there would just be such a huge, just all these consequences for changing your sound a little bit. And I feel like since the late 2000s, early 2010s, when that was kind of like more common, a lot more progressive metal with like heavy extreme metal elements have been released. And so a lot of those listeners who used to have like really hard stances on like, oh, it's has to be brutal, has to be super extreme, have kind of softened up a little bit. So it's good, to be able to have that, not have to worry about that so much. As a creator and as a musician, you can kind of be like, feel more comfortable making those creative decisions to include more progressive stuff and more melody and clean vocals without having to necessarily worry about your fan base being like, I hate this band now.
Well, there will always be people like that, but
yeah, you can't win them
shouldn't
all, but
pay too much attention, I think.
yeah, and I think that nowadays the balance is a lot better. It's like those people are usually a minority. Like it's very, very few people, whereas the bulk of the listeners are going to be like, oh, this is awesome. So you mentioned not being able to play shows, but you did do a streaming event very recently, just on July 25th. The production for it was awesome. You guys obviously put a lot of that a lot into that as well, much like you did with your album. Tell us a little bit about what that experience, was like. I know, having done a few live stream events myself, it's always kind of strange trying to like do a performance when no one's in front of you. What was your guys' experience overall? Filming that live stream event.
Well, I think it went pretty well, and actually I think we worked a lot on the show in contexts pretty similar to that. Like we did residencies, working on the show on different stages, and I think it was kind of the same. We played in front of no audience, and we learned to pretend that there would be an audience, and it almost felt like the same. Obviously, you don't have like the feedback from a screaming audience or whatever, but I managed to pretend pretty well, I think. I don't know about you. It was like a...
Yeah, I think we were like trained to do that somehow because we did it before, but it went really well. No problem at all, and it was great.
Yeah, it was a lot of cool. Tell me a little bit more about what it was like getting like the production for it all together. You mentioned practicing on a few different stages, but there was also lighting and stuff like that. What was what was kind of the creative process behind that, like organizing all of the production with the actual performance?
So regarding the lighting and the sound, we worked with a crew that we are used to working with. So they did a great job and also practiced on these like previous rehearsals we did on stages and stuff. So that went pretty well. And for the camera team, we worked with a lot of friends of ours. and everybody used the same camera. There were eight of them. It was like a very tiny camera, like it's called the DJI Osmo Pocket. Don't know if you have it here.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like a really tiny camera, very handy, very user friendly. Many of our friends are not like working in the video industry or stuff, but still managed to get some pretty cool shots out of it. And as you will see, it's like a very tiny,
really handy.
camera.
Yeah, like everyone can, I think, operate it.
Oh wow!
It goes like this. Basically,
That's
a GoPro with
super cool.
With an built-in stabilizer. So yeah,
Right.
Quite fun.
That's awesome. That's so crazy. I'm like, I've always really loved the world of film and lighting and cinematography, and I think I love it so much because I'm really bad at it. So I can like really appreciate the people who are like really good at it, and when I see technology like that and new innovations in cameras and lighting and camera rigs and all that kind of stuff, it always makes me pretty excited. I'm just like, oh my god, that's so cool.
You
So
do you produce some videos by yourself as well? Or?
Here and there. I usually edit. I'm more of a video editor. Like I edited a lot of the Allegiant live series, like music video stuff that we did for Slay at Home, and when we did I think we did our Form Shifter anniversary performance. I did all the video editing on that, but I only filmed myself. Yeah, not super great at filming and setting up lighting and all that kind of stuff. I just don't have the eye for it, but I'm better at the more mathematical, meticulous side of things. Surprise, surprise, a death metal musician is good at meticulous stuff.
Yep.
But well, that's super cool. For those of you watching, if you didn't see the Fractal Universe live performance that we're talking about, with the excellent production and the super cool stages filmed on tiny cameras, it is still available for purchase until the 8th of this month on fractaluniverse.veeps.com, so make sure to check that out. But so outside of that event, though, you guys also have been active streaming on Twitch, doing some pretty out of the box things for Twitch, even on the musical side, like jazz jam sessions and interviews, playthroughs, sometimes just hanging out. How has your experience with Twitch been? I know that it's a thing that a lot of musicians flirt with and even try for like a short period of time, but very few stick with it for an extended period of time like you guys have. What do you think has been the thing about it that has made you guys stay on top of it like you have, and what challenges do you think you've had to overcome to get to the point where you are now?
Well, I think it was a lot of fun at first. Really enjoyed like doing these improv jazz sessions and stuff like that. Because that's a side of my music that I never really showed to people, and I also enjoyed like talking to the fans, answering to their questions and stuff like that. And I think especially in times like these with the pandemic and stuff, it was a great way to remain connected with these people. And I think we have built like a small but really solid community over there, with like super fans that are there almost every time and now comment on all the platforms as well, and support us and share everything we do and stuff. So I think in that way it really helped.
Yeah.
And it was also fun to do like these Fractal Universe tunes over there. We have done one full band live stream, which had some technical issues, but it was still a lot of fun. And apart from that, all band members have played some Fractal Universe over there, have done some other stuff. So it was pretty diverse and pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, when we started this at the beginning of the lockdown, where there was no shows at all, and we were like, okay, what can we do? And yeah, we tried our way on Twitch, just playing our songs, one guitar, one backing track, through all the albums and stuff like that. And yeah, we tried then to propose a more diverse content, like interviews with ourselves, like Q&A sessions, but also with people we work with, like our sound engineer or artist, designer. And yeah, Vince has showed all his capabilities of improvising on jazz jam sessions and everything. And now that shows start to come back, we try to stay on Twitch because yeah, as Vince said, we managed to build a small community, and it was really a great way to stay in touch with all our fans around the world. And yeah, I don't think we want to stop that actually.
Yeah, I think it's just something different, like another side of your band, of your personality and stuff like that. So I think it's great to keep doing that, even if music would ever start like 100%. I mean, live tours, if it would ever go like before.
Yeah.
I still think we should keep the Twitch thing going and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I personally think that having a profile on a streaming platform, whether it's Twitch or Mixer or whatever it might be, I think that should be something that every band should do. Especially now, you know what I mean? Like it's 2021, you know, everybody has the tools. You know, it's even, you know, even if you start small and don't have like a super high quality stream, like I feel like what discourages a lot of people is that they watch, you know, they watch people like Matt Hafey from Trivium, you know, and his stream that's like the top of the mountain, right? Like that's that's the goal for every musician streamer, is to be
all cameras, and everything.
Yeah, but the thing is that it's like, if you watch his streams from like 3 or 4 years ago, like he definitely didn't start that way. Like it took a lot of growth and trial and error getting his setup built. And I think that a lot of people get discouraged because they see where he's at now and want to like start there because of like the competitive nature of the industry and being like, oh, like, you know, well, this is the bar that's set, you know, we have to jump straight into that. But it's definitely one of those you have to learn to walk before you can run type of situations. And I think that if more bands approached it from a like, you know, we're just going to do what we can on Twitch right now to engage with our audience and use whatever we make from Twitch to grow our stream and reinvest our dividends and all that kind of stuff, that it would create something that, you know, has never really been established in the music industry, let alone the metal industry, where you have, you know, bands that are part of a community that's like adjacent to the already existing community. So I think that it's really cool that you guys are as active as you are on Twitch, because it's something that, you know, like I said, I think every band should be doing kind of the same way that you guys are doing it. So good job on leading the charge on that. I hope more bands follow suit and keep that going. Again, for those of you watching, if you don't already follow them on Twitch, you can find them at the same URL that you're looking at right below us here, twitch.tv/fractaluniverseband. So I have a few more questions before I let you guys go, because there's some more interesting stuff that has gone on over the past couple years. We've got a lot to catch up on since you know, pre-pandemic times. So you guys, right before the pandemic, you guys toured with Obscura. I have also toured with them. That's actually where we met, was at an Obscura show that Legion was playing. Great band, you know. Stefan is, you know, such a creative powerhouse. Super cool hanging out with them. What was your experience like, you know, touring with them and getting to play to some of those audiences that obviously, you know, there's going to be a lot of crossover between people liking Obscura and people liking Fractal Universe. So, you know, what was that like for you? You know, how do you feel, you know, being able to have toured with a band of that magnitude?
Well, it was amazing. I think for me it was like a dream come true, because I've been a fan from the band, and I've seen them live countless times since my teenage years, basically. And so one day we had this email in our mailbox from Stefan himself asking us to like be on his next tour, and we were like, yeah, sure, we can do that. And so as you said, yeah, many people liking Obscura would also like Fractal Universe, and that's really what we experienced. We got a lot of positive feedback from people all over Europe, and I think it really helped us forward. And also the guys themselves from Obscura, from God Dethroned, and from Tulkandra were really, really nice. And I think as it was our first tour in a nightliner, like with three other bands, 23 people, I think, in the same bus, it could have gone really crazy, but everything went like super smoothly. Everybody was chill. Everybody was doing his part, loading the trailer, unloading the trailer and stuff. So
Yeah.
really a perfect experience. And the hard thing was 1 week after we came home, the pandemic started, first lockdown. So it was pretty hard.
Yeah.
Return to reality, actually.
Yeah, for sure. That's good though, you know, that you guys got that tour under your belt right before everything happened. You know,
Yeah.
since a lot of bands were like, all right, cool, tour starts in 2 weeks, and then it was like, oh, just kidding. So
Yeah,
that's, you know,
I think we were extremely lucky actually to
Yeah.
finish that tour.
yeah,
Yeah, but
absolutely.
during the tour, we started to notice like that some countries had already more measures in place. Like when we entered Poland, for example, we received like a text from the Polish government asking us, yeah, stay at home, stay safe, stuff like that.
Right.
And we were not really realizing what was happening because we were like in a bubble. But slowly we started to realize something big was about to happen. And yeah, it hit really hard when we came home.
Actually,
Yeah.
some countries went locked down during the tour after we played on the country, like Italy, for
Yeah,
example.
Italy, yeah.
Oh yeah, they were one of the first ones to go into lockdown.
It's like lockdown followed us.
Yeah.
Followed the tour bus. Yeah.
Yeah. I blame you guys. You guys shut down Europe. That's it. Fractal Universe is canceled. They started the pandemic. No, that's yeah, that's wild, man. That's super crazy. It feels like so long ago, right? Looking back on those experiences of like when everything first started shutting down, and you know, when you were explaining it, being like, yeah, I didn't really like know what was going on when it first started. I that resonates with me a lot because I remember feeling the exact same way, being like, you know, talking to our booking agent and our manager and having them be like, yeah, so like, you know, there's this virus going around, and like, you know, we'll see what happens. It's probably not that big of a deal. Like we'll see if we have to cancel the tour, but like probably not. Like I wouldn't worry about it. And then, you know, as you know, the next week it would be like, yes, this is looking pretty bad. Things are getting pretty serious. And then the next week it would be like, yeah, you guys, the world like might end. I don't know. This is pretty horrible. So yeah, it's crazy though. It feels like it was 100 years ago that happened, and not just like 2. So yeah, it's wild. So you know, now that we're coming to a point where, you know, things are kind of, you know, flip-flopping a little bit between normal and not normal, and we're kind of starting to see a return of shows, you know, what does the band have coming up in the future? You know, obviously everybody's trying to get out there and play shows. Are you guys working on getting any tours out right now to support the album?
Well, for now, what we have is more gigs in France, mostly, like some festivals in September, October, stuff like that. For now, that's the safest thing we can do, obviously. And then we will see. For now, we haven't any tours planned for this year, next year, but we are really looking for opportunities in Europe or elsewhere. We would really love to make it to the US and North America for the first time ever with this record. But let's see how that goes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, again, for those of you watching, if you have not heard of Fractal Universe yet, you can tell they're wonderful, nice gentlemen, but they're also incredible musicians. Their newest album has been on repeat in my playlists for a while. Impassable Horizon, that just
Thank you so much.
yeah, of course, guys. I really like it. It's right up my alley as far as metal goes. I'm, you know, more and more of a progressive melodic metal fan as time goes on. I think that it's the best way to push the genre forward. You know what I mean? Like metal is a unique a unique place in music because the musicians are always so high caliber. Like you have such incredible musicianship, but when the level of musicianship is at that place, it becomes more and more challenging to find ways to, push the genre into a new place and take it into a direction that, creates room and opportunities for growth and for other bands and, for the genre as a whole. And I think that, the progressive melodic, combination with more extreme elements of metal is probably the best way to do that I can see, moving forward. So I'm excited that you guys are on that train because I love hearing it. And I think that those of you watching will love hearing it too if you haven't checked it out yet. So make sure to check it out on all streaming platforms or pick up a copy for yourself at metalblade.com/Fractal Universe. I'm going to let you guys go since it's probably pretty late over there in France. But thank you guys so much for joining me today for the live series. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah.
It's an honor for us.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, guys. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Again, check out Fractal Universe. Make sure to follow them and pick up their new album, Impassable Horizon, on Metal Blade Records. Until next week, enjoy yourselves, be safe out there, and I will see you all very soon.